geysers on your natural expansion until you've achieved maximum saturation on all mineral patches in your main and in your natural.
Especially
Because
if you're not going mech, most especially.
yeah,
If you're going bio, you really don't need that much gas unless you're going mass ghost. Then you're going to need
yeah,
6 gases.
Terran late game always has a problem of getting rid of gas because I was like, oh well, I have 5 bases mining minerals, I must have at least 4 bases mining gas. Really, as a Terran, I think like the most you ever need is 3 bases mining gas, pretty much no matter what you're going, because
Yep.
you really just can't spend gas
You
as
just can't spend that.
Terran.
Yeah, you spend gas a lot. I think is
Thoros
Protoss.
tanks and
Yeah,
medevacs.
Thoros tanks, medevacs, and ghosts. I think those are really
Yeah,
the most gas expensive things you can build. Rex are going a very relatively expensive build in general with this Stalker style, which, in my opinion, against mech perhaps isn't the best of ideas, but it ends up working out for him because there are no CH tanks.
yeah.
Um,
Well, the thing about mech, Blink Stalkers, and these Stalkers do not have Blink, but Blink Stalkers are actually really good against mech because they fire so slow
mhm.
that you can just easily blink the Stalkers back. So it's actually pretty simple micro. If we want to go talk about micro for a second, uh, like Blink Stalkers actually do their own, can hold their own, especially since they have that plus damage against armored units.
Yep.
But what I really want to note is look at Rex's army compared to the army of his opponents. It
Absolutely.
looks so much scarier.
Absolutely.
And
4 Thors are scary, but that
yeah,
many Stalkers, I mean, I think you could probably one-shot a Thor
I mean really,
with that many.
he Power Dog, he's had more bases the entire game. He's had like the mineral advantage, but it's not translating into a bigger army at this point because of his production. Once again, I'm sorry. Go ahead and take over while I take this car. Once again.
Well, we're going to see. One thing I would like to emphasize about this, when you do go on attack, make sure that you do have all your units together in one place for an engagement. I mean, the Hellions probably would not have helped that much, granted, in this attack. Hellions don't do so
Nope.
fantastic against Stalkers, but in the case that you do go on attack, make sure that you maximize your army in one area, in a good surround, what are called concaves, which, for those of you who don't know, the better concave, which basically means the spread of your units, which allow maximum firing, the most amount of units firing, with the least amount of firing for them. The better concave you have, the more damage you're going to be able to do, and the less ratio of damage they're going to be able to do, even if they have a similar number of units.
Yeah, and I think we're actually going to be going over, like, just have an entire bronze to masters, like, show on concaves and unit positioning later. And something that we can note in Rex's base, he had a lot of money, so what's he do? He threw down 3 more gateways just then. Instantly, the money problem's over. And this late in the game, 500 gas is not that big of a deal. You can spend it, like,
Yeah,
instantly with walk gates.
especially with sentries or High Templar. Also, one thing to note that could we pause for a second?
Yeah, go ahead.
What my recommendation would be, we see that the players are up on 3 bases. In fact, Power Dog is going up to his 4th base at this point. With every new base you take, my recommendation is to try and tech to something different to add into your composition, or at least be able to add something into your composition. It controls the tempo of the game, and it is definitely a huge part of production. It's going to force your opponent to do certain things, or you'll just win, either way. So, for instance, one thing that's common is Protoss. If you see this 3-gate Robo, for instance, you can see on 2 bases he goes for the Robotics Bay. On the 3rd base he's got this Twilight Council, which he should probably be going for Charge, or something like that. He's going for upgrades behind this as well. And at this point with 3 bases you can afford High Templar. In the PvT matchup, that would be a good choice. So,
Do you want to go ahead and unpause?
yep, we can go ahead and unpause. But that's something I just wanted to comment on. Like for
Yeah.
Terran, for instance, if you start out with Hellions on 1 base, then on 2 bases you can go up to Marine and Siege Tank, for instance, depending on the matchup. Or, various forms of compositions. It's just that you should add something new to every base, because in that way it varies up your build and it makes it much harder for your opponent to combat.
Read what you're doing and kill you. So it's good in every single way. So we see Rexar. He's going to go ahead and try to take out this planetary.
Which amazingly he's able to do. I'm
Yeah.
surprised that these Stalkers are actually able to kill that. That's a lot of SCVs repairing, but he does a good job.
Yeah.
And Power Dog's going to show up a little bit too late. All of the units except for the Hellions are really slow, so I feel bad for him. He just is watching in
Yeah.
terror as his base just gets vaporized along with all of his SCVs.
The thing to note about this game, as it's finishing up. We know who wins.
Yeah.
The thing to note about it is, even though Power Dog went for the super aggressive, not super economic build, the super fast expand with a fast start base, in the end, it didn't really matter that much.
No, it
because his opponent had a better strategy. He had a better production line, basically. He was able to produce the amount of units he needed to, and his base always kept up with that supply and with that need. So having that instead of having these big gaps where you have too much money or you have too little money,
Yep.
you always want to have the just right
Yep.
amount of money.
Balance is
Because-
really key. Because that
Yeah.
means that's less money that you're wasting or money that you can spend in other areas. So, like, if you have too many barracks, let's say you have 3 barracks too many, that's 450 minerals, that's another base, or 9 more SCVs, which will get you another base in a minute's worth of time of mining. So just profound things to think about. The fact that 3 barracks too many can make that big of a difference in your play. It's something really, really to think about, and make sure that you're doing the best you can to macro. Because as we can see, the power of macro, Rexer, even though he had less bases and less income, and frankly, he didn't even spend all of his money. If we look at that very end, he's got his slush fund going, and he's still able to come out on top
And do you know why he had that much money at the end?
because he didn't have enough production.
Well, that's
Probably it was
also
warping in.
because he was focusing on micro.
Yeah, the micro as opposed to the warping in, correct?
See, I was kind of right when I said in platinum
It's
you
true.
don't need a micro.
No,
but
no,
seriously,
I agree with you up to the platinum level and below. I would say that micro is not nearly as important as it is later.
Yeah.
Although it starts getting important in platinum.
it's still important, but
Yeah.
really, like, the best thing you could have done, or the best thing Rexar could have done, is he could have just, like, attacked or got in position, gone back to his base, built a bunch more units, then gone to attack. So when he comes home after his army's been defeated, he has, 50 extra stalkers just to reload and go again. 50 is probably an exaggeration, but you get my point. So, macro while you micro.
Absolutely.
And the next game is going to be Septiel's specialty.
Yes.
Going to be our ZVZ of the day. This is going to This is going to teach a lot about larva injects and creep spread, I believe. I'm not a...
He's not the Zerg expert. I'm the
No, I'm not.
I'm the doctor. I'm the doctor on this one for once. Okay, so all right, I'm at the 6 second mark.
Ooh. Radical. Okay, I'm ready.
All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1, and go. Alrighty. We're going to be in this game. Ooh, Child, please. I love that his name is Child, please, so I'm like, oh, please, no. Put those drones out to work, man. Kodlak, actually, before we get in this game, Kodlak has a good question. For TOS, shouldn't you micro sentries no matter what league you're in?
Yes.
That is absolutely a perfect question, and yes. If you have sentries are tremendously important. It's like the Protoss equivalent of map editor. And if you're building them and not using them, then you're doing it wrong. So, absolutely. No, if you have sentries, use them. Try and force field off ramps. Cut their armies in half. It's something definitely to go for. So, good question. We're going to be going with this game. We've got Child Please, who is going to be our opponent, I think, against Ixie, who is our viewer. I think that is actually you, Icarus. I think that's you out there. Hopefully. Alrighty.
Confirm or deny.
Yeah,
Go.
confirm or deny. Alrighty, but we've got Ixie, I think, who is our hero Zerg, and he's going to be going against his opponent, Child. Actually, no, Child Please wins this one. That's right. I remember this game, and he sent me this game. That's right. Child Please sent me this game. I'm sorry.
Okay.
He didn't actually assign. When you send replays, if you send them to us at septiel@yahoo.com, please indicate which of the players you are, because your email is not necessarily your player name, and it's always good to be able to recognize you. I love to be able to recognize the players who submit for our games. So please.
So we can talk about them and say
Yes.
that all their progress is due to us, since we like making a difference.
Anyway, all right. We're going to see, though, that Ixie is going to go for the 15 hatch, which we talked about earlier this week. A fantastic build. I don't know how I feel about it in ZVZ. It ends up working out, at least for a little while for him. Spoiler alert, he does end up losing this game. But Child Please goes for a 14-14 build. I think that's a 14-14. Although he's forgetting to put another drone on his extractor, so it's a little bit off. And he needs to use larva. When you have money, use larva. He should be getting an overlord, getting a drone, and then getting a Zergling squad as soon as this as soon as that spawning pool pops open. He's going to get 4 lings instead, which is okay. He needs to get that queen. Queens, oh my gosh, queens are perhaps the most important thing.
And not getting supply blocked
Yes.
with your queens.
Yeah, supply blockage with queens is a tremendous deal. I think that understanding of the microing of the macro of Zerg is highly intensive as opposed to the other races. So in effect, you're basically microing when you're macroing as Zerg. However, Zerg works a little bit more reactionary, which we're going to discuss that. For instance, look at the Overlord placement by Ixie. He's going to be able to see these 4 lings moving down the field by Child Please. That's going to tell him that he needs to build lings to be able to defend his base. He's got queens popping out, he's got lings popping out, so he should be able to defend this. He's got a spine, and he's just trying to do his best to react. ZVZ is very, very, very fast-paced, which is why we picked this game. We'd just be able to show how important map knowledge is for Zerg in particular. Now, he's going to lose some drones here. This is really, really bad, losing drones this early on. And Child Please is doing a fantastic job. He's expanding behind this. That's something actually I would really like to note. He's doing exactly what we've been talking about. He's expanding behind this. He's going to be able to get out some more larvae as well as get out a lot of drones. Behind this, he's producing a couple lings, which is good because Ixie's going to produce some drone. I mean, the problem with ZVZ is you're going to force your opponent to build units, and then they're just going to come and try and kill you. So
I'd also like to note, if I can kind of barge in, I'm just going to be like the timekeeper. 33 seconds. That queen had a larva inject ready, but didn't use it. 33 seconds, which is the amount of time it takes for the larva to finish. So,
yes. And essentially, these, from what I understand, more or less, it's about double your larva count with queens out on the field. So, having queens with perfect injects is crucial, absolutely crucial to successful Zerg play. I've heard, I think it was
Nesty
who said if you get more than 40 energy on your queens, you're very, very likely to lose, especially at the higher level. So really work on those injects, really try and work on that stuff. But it looks like Ixie now going to just kind of be sitting back on this and going for a Roach War. Notice he's not getting drones, and we're going to see that Child Please, I think, is still producing a few too many roaches for my comfort. The way I think of roaches, every single roach you produce is like the equivalent of producing a spine crawler. That's one more drone that you could have had, and it's also about the equivalent in defense. So just keep that in mind. It's completely fine to build roaches early on. But this Overlord placement is something I'd love to emphasize with ZVZ, because with this you're going to be able to know when to drone and when not to drone. Because as Zerg, you have the unique ability to be able to build tons of drones at the same time, which is a fantastic ability to be able to build 20 workers at the same time. I wish Protoss could do that. Chrono is nice, but building 20 workers is also fantastic. We're going to see Child Please moving in for an attack. Notice behind this, though, that there is no production. He's completely focusing on microing this. And at this point, he really should just fall back, and he shouldn't be worrying about the micro at this point, and just pull back and be droning behind this. And so, I mean, that's something to just keep in mind for this game. Let's see. Also, Ixie has a ton of larvae up in his base. He's not spending these. This is because he's just not able to afford it because he just doesn't have any drones. Early drone production, if you're going to go on a 15 hatch, is very, very important. I'm not sure where I was going with that. But you really need to produce lots of drones if you're going to try and early expand. Just a rule of thumb in general. Producing workers early on, unless you're trying to do some really sneaky sort of rush play, but we aren't going to worry about that just yet.
Yeah.
But,
and that's one of the things. Ixie, he got that economy build, just kind of like our Terran player in the last game did. He did the economy build, but he actually didn't really capitalize on it. He didn't actually get the economic edge or the production edge that he really needed because he got too many larvae, he couldn't spin them, he didn't get enough drones, and the compilation of all those little mistakes is really costing him a lot of his production right now because as Zog, the optimal situation is to never have any extra lava